Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I, the one and only, Mexi here once again, and I am back for the likes of the Mexi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Paper Mario, aka, for those of you who lived in Japan, Mario's Story for the Nintendo 64. So, last time, we've essentially manage to able to continue exploring the forms of Boo's mansion, to able to solve puzzles, and in addition to that, we somehow managed to get ourselves the forms of our boots upgrades by the forms of the super boots, so naturally we can now able to learn our next ability. In addition to that, our attack power for jumping is now being increased, so relatively speaking that was about the fact that we can now learn to use the spin jump, which allows us to able to perform a simple ground pound, which as a result, that way we can able to actually access more areas. In addition to that, there's going to be some important aspects where it comes to, you know, trying to utilize with the forms of spin jump, which as a result, we'll get into more details about that in the future. So as a result, in addition to that, we also did manage to able to meet up with the forms of Bo. And as a result, though, about the fact that she did show us about the fact that she managed able to keep the actual third star spirit in a cage from now on, until we decided able to take care of the forms of the main threat in Chapter 3, which is, of course, the invincible Tubba Blubba. So, relatively speaking, and as a result, well, as you can tell, we now ended up in a different environment, which does manage to take place somewhere in the wasteland or something like that. Or to be more accurate, though, Ghostly Lodge, which I think is what it says anyway. So yeah, and as a result, we did manage to able to hide away for a bit, because, you know, Tubba Blubba shows up, and as a result, though, it's about the fact that apparently, though, he ate one of the boos, so naturally speaking, though, he somehow managed to walk all the way back to his castle. So because of that, though, yeah, something tells me about the fact that we need to make our way to Tubba Blubba's castle. So because of that, though, so yeah, today for this video is about the fact that we're about to be making our way to our next destination, which appears to be Tubba Blubba's castle. But before we get into that stuff, though, as to be expected, there are some more enemy encounters and stuff like that, and right from the start, though, we somehow instantly get hit by the monster's very quick, fast movements and stuff like that. So I guess it's now time to use Bombette to do the job right here. And so much to the point, as you can see, that one of the enemies is now usually upside down now. So this means we can now able to actually have the benefit for the doubt when it comes to jumping onto him. So because of that, though, because unlike the forms of how it does on the previous cleaved enemies, obviously, though, you can't jump on them because obviously, though, they have high defense. So anyway, so yeah, let's just make our way to the forms of Tubba Blubba's castle, and hopefully, though, we can able to figure out the weakness in terms of the forms of Tubba Blubba himself. So because of that, though, it might take a bit while to able to actually get to this point, though, because obviously, though, like I said this before, I will definitely try to battle as many enemies as I could, just in case about the fact that we can able to miraculously try to still level up and stuff like that. So I digress. So yeah, a few things I want to talk about this is about the fact that, well, today's date, of course, there is the 7th of April today, in some cases in 2025 today, and relatively speaking, I was about the fact that we've only got about 1 week left until specifically Sonic the Hedgehog 3 the movie on DVD, Blu-ray, and UHD, or to be more accurate though, Ultra HD Blu-ray is about to be releasing until next week. And not just that, however, though, well, usually the only thing I was only going to be talking about is the UK release, because it wasn't until 8 days later that obviously, though, the US version is going to be releasing in Journey Forms on the 15th of April. So because of that, though, usually for about a day apart, when it comes to not only for the UK version, but as well as the forms of the US version as well. So because of that, though, yeah, everything else will become to expect, basically. So either way, and also, as a matter of fact, it's been, you know, 5 days ago since the, or actually, was it 5 days ago? I'm sure it's 5 days ago, so either way. Yeah, it's been 5 days ago since Journey forms of our excitement for the hype of Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, believe it or not, which I suppose is now a perfect opportunity to try to discuss upon several details they somehow brought ourselves into. in regards to the forms of the most recent Nintendo Direct for Nintendo Switch 2, despite what the forms of one major issue we have with the forms of that particular existence of Nintendo Switch 2, which we'll get to that later. So either way, Hyper Cleaved, so his max HP was 4, attack power is 3, and defense power is also 3. So because of that though, yeah, we definitely need to try to bring out Bombette for this one, so just in case about the fact that way we should be able to make him upside down, and just like the forms of how it does it for Hyper Goombas or Hyper Paragoombas, eventually at some point on a rare occasions where he decided able to charge up the attack power. So because of that though, no wonder why about the fact that when I was younger, I was just able to have some bit of struggles with this part, mainly because of the damage output whenever you manage to get hit by several of enemies' attacks while they activate the hyper mode, and no matter what though, they are so aggressive. So because of that though, yeah, no wonder why about the fact I always have struggles with Chapter 3 back in the day, but it wasn't until likely for years later that I pretty much know exactly what I'm doing. So either way though, and it's also worth knowing for too is about the fact that I'm pretty concerned about the fact that I believe, relatively speaking though, is about the fact that I do know if there is a possibility of something relates to that, about the fact that a Minecraft movie, in terms of the box office department, is actually gone in a pretty decent start. Like, as a result, there is now on to, let's just say, something like $58 million for its box office. Well, I'm not entirely sure what the finalized box office is going to turn out to be, but I'm sure enough that we'll find out more about it during a later time. So either way though, let's go ahead and keep on using our refresh, just in case we can able to restore our not only HP, but also with the forms of flower points as well. So naturally speaking now, and also imagine if we get poisoned or dizzy and stuff like that, then obviously that was about the fact that it will actually remove the actual status. So either way though, all status effects, I should say. So either way, and it's also worth knowing for too is about the fact that, well, there's also another thing I would like to explain about this is though, that's what it appears to be for the fact that, well, aside from the fact that you know how the fact that how ridiculous the price tag is going to be for Nintendo Switch 2 items and stuff like that, there's also worth knowing for too is about the fact that the actual gigabyte storage, or the amount of gigabytes they did somehow get revealed for the actual file size when it comes to some Nintendo Switch 2 games. So at the moment right now, 5 games, or technically 4 actually, because one of them was actually by the forms of a whole collection of emulation GameCube titles and stuff like that. So, for instance though, first of all we have Mario Kart World. That game is going to be massive as it is, so logically the actual gigabyte storage for that is going to be 23.4 gigabytes, at least if you do manage to download the game digitally. So yeah, that's something. And meanwhile, we've also got Donkey Kong Bonanza. That game is going to be for about 10 gigabytes, and meanwhile for the Nintendo GameCube, Nintendo Classics, in terms of the forms of, you know, Nintendo Switch Online Expansion Pack, I believe that's going to be cost for about 3.5 gigabytes. So, and meanwhile, when it comes to Switch 1 ports to Nintendo Switch 2 editions, which appears to be both Super Mario Party Jamboree and as well as Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Well, as far as I do notice on the brackets, they did somehow manage to show us the comparison with the actual gigabyte storage. Is that, for example though, in Super Mario Party Jamboree, and normally on Switch 1, if you managed able to download the game that is, it actually costs for about 5.3 gigabytes, whilst compared to Switch 2 edition, is actually gone slightly up a bit into 7.7 gigabytes, which that's all mainly because of the forms of the Jamboree TV thing. So because of that though, and all the while when it comes to Kirby and the Forgotten Land, normally on Switch 1, if you download the game that is, it actually costs for about 5.8 gigabytes, whilst for whatever reason, on Switch 2 version, it actually slightly decreased by 1, or specifically 0.1, which as a result, on Switch 2 edition, it actually costs for about 5.7 gigabytes, which is pretty strange if you ask me. So because of that though, yeah, you get the idea for that particular solution's worth noting for, and I'm afraid to tell you we've almost gonna get ourselves our first game over. Well, actually, no way, because we still managed to get ourselves the glorious life shroom with our hands. So relatively speaking, if we do die at one point, obviously though we were able to get our 10 HP back. So that's always something. So although if you somehow managed able to use it otherwise though, then you pretty much wasted the actual specific bring back to life syndrome. So because of that though, yeah, there's nothing right to hum about, and we got ourselves some additional coins. So thanks to the forms of that particular spell, so we can able to get our HP back in addition to flower points back, and we can able to quickly try to grab these coins before they disappear. So relatively speaking, they still manage to disappear once in a while. So in fact, let me just go ahead and quickly backtrack for a bit, so just in case I don't want to waste too much items when it comes to likely trying to deal with the forms of some aggressive enemies, such as hyper variants of Goombas and Cliffs and stuff like that. I'm generally surprised about the fact that we've never come across into hyper Koopas or something like that. Well, I suppose that makes it pretty obvious about the fact that, well, obviously, that, well, it's hard for me to explain because I know for a fact it has been about 3 days ago since we've last played this game for sure, just because no matter what though, it's about the fact that I'm just so pleased that, you know, Switch 2 is now a thing, even though despite the fact that the price tag is so ridiculous. So anyways, speaking of such though, let's get into the forms of the actual announcements they did somehow brings us into, if you're following through our reaction video ever since around 5 days ago roughly. So let's start things off with the first thing in the lineup, and that is of course the major highlight of Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. That is of course the brand new Mario Kart game called Mario Kart World. So it's no longer going to be called Mario Kart 9 or Mario Kart 10 or Mario Kart X even. So as a result though, much like the forms of the latest Mario Party games, they somehow ditched the numbering title. So as a result though, we're going back into the forms of the old days, where for example though, in Super Mario Kart and Mario Kart Super Circuit, and in addition to Mario Kart 64, Mario Kart Double Dash, and Mario Kart DS, Mario Kart Wii, they obviously go back into the letter titles rather than just adding a number into it. So no matter what though, it's about the fact that that's actually pretty swell. So relatively speaking, I was about the fact you already know for a fact that I'm super immediately hyped about, you know, Mario Kart World after all, because relatively speaking, I was about the fact that not only does the graphics look so spectacular, but as well as that though, the gameplay itself is actually radically similar to the forms of how it does it for Mario Kart 8/Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but there are some new stuff has been added, such as, you know, rail grinding, which obviously that almost caught me off guard whenever I saw that in action. And second of all is about the fact that they now start to introduce well, let's just say, so it feels kind of reminds me of something almost very similar to, in Sonic Lost World, where basically there was a move called, parkour, whenever you run on walls and stuff like that. Well, in Mario Kart Tour though, it might look a bit similar to parkour, except it's actually called, let's just say, driving onto walls and all that stuff for a few seconds notice. So, yeah, that's actually kind of interesting, all things considered. So because of that though, and as far as I'm aware, that obviously though, similar to the forms of how it does it in Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, that basically though, not only we can able to actually drive in the air, much like the forms of how it does it in the forms of not only in Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, but as well as Diddy Kong Racing as well. So relatively speaking though, that also applies for the fact that we can now able to drive on water as opposed to diving into underwater, unlike the forms of how it does it in both Mario Kart 7 alongside with the forms of Mario Kart 8/8 Deluxe, including Mario Kart Tour as well. And yeah, that's as far as I can try to able to explain about that. Oh, unfortunately though, something tells me about the fact that I was really hoping to try to unlock Light Blue Yoshi as a playable character in Mario Kart Tour, but of course, the RMG still comes into play. So this means that will be my, well, in terms of the forms of technical terms, I believe that might be my last definite chance to able to try to unlock Light Blue Yoshi before if Nintendo decided able to close down the service for Mario Kart Tour or anything else like that. Well, mind you, we're still in April month after all, so we still only got about 5 months left until basically they'll go back onto this repeated cycle again when it comes to going through tour to tour basically. So no matter what though, it's a bit difficult to explain. So because of that though, yeah, as far as you can definitely tell for the fact that we've seen the gameplay footage of Mario Kart World, not just by the forms of the actual trailer, but as well as the forms of the Nintendo Treehouse Live, it looks super stunning. And what's even more amazing is about the fact that, well, unlike the forms of how it does it in both Mario Kart 8 / Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and as well as that, Mario Kart Tour as well, thankfully, there's no Pink Gold Peach or the Koopaling Racers in action, although it would be nice to be able to actually bring the Koopalings back, but let's just say for the fact that for the time being though, we have to wait until the next couple of days, or to be more accurate though, we've only got about 10 more days to go until the next Nintendo Direct is going to take place, focusing on around Mario Kart World, similar to the forms of how it does it back in 2023, where they managed able to show us the Nintendo Direct focuses on Super Mario Bros. Wonder, so the actual concept is actually very similar to one another, but except the fact that it's now going to be on Nintendo Switch 2, of course. So, hopefully we'll hear more about the forms of some more information about the forms of Mario Kart World at some point until 10 days from now, so because of that though, still, I'm incredibly hyped for it, and of course the actual release date has already been confirmed for not just by the forms of Mario Kart World, but also the Nintendo Switch 2 system, and both are going to be coming out on the exact same day, as each other, which appears to be the 5th of June. So roughly, we've only just got about 2 months left. Although, the pre-orders is about to begin until tomorrow, so I really desperately want able to try to pre-order it, assuming of course I need to be, well, you know what I'm talking about. Gotta go fast kind of syndrome, just like what Sonic says. So because of that though, yeah, and it's also worth knowing for is that this is so unfortunate for US at the moment because they were expecting to try to able to actually pre-order the Nintendo Switch 2 during the forms of around on the 9th of April, but unfortunately though, the pre-orders have officially been delayed, probably because of complications all around, let's just say benefits or something like that, and oh my god. That was so close. I'm on peril right now, so yeah, I have no choice but to, oh jeez, this is gonna be very tricky. Because otherwise though, if I lose another of my health, then I might get myself my game over. But we can use the maple syrup right here, so we can able to actually try to deliberately try to finish these guys off for reals. So, and that pretty much does it for this point. There we go. Oh man, that was a close call, and to make matters even better, I somehow reached my next level up. So yeah, that was a definition of a close call right there. So, for the option choice we'll go for, as you can tell, I'm going to be selecting badge points from now on, just in case if there are certain badges that we can able to try to get, then we definitely try to go ahead and try to equip some of them during the later portion of the game. So, yeah, nicely done. So, because I was assuming for the fact that if I somehow lose 1 health left, then I'm basically going to get myself screwed over. But thankfully though, I have to use one of my items, so I have no choice. So, alright, so we're now on to, let's just say, 18 badge points so far. So logically, we've almost nearly at the maximum amount, up to 30. So because of that though, so logically though, is about the fact that from now on though, that's essentially how I'm going to be going with in terms of badges equipment. So, anyway, so we now made our way to the front entrance to the Tubba Blubba's castle. Now, keep that in mind though, if we go entry in, as you can tell, there's a lot of these mysterious creatures hovering around the actual specific rooms. Because, as you can tell, it's almost like stealth-based, similar to the forms of how it does it on some Princess Peach segments. So, except the fact that you need to be super fast at it, because otherwise, if you get caught by these things, you get kicked out. So no matter what though, yeah, that's how the fact that no matter what though, that's how Bo decides to come into play. So as a result though, if you're almost about to get caught, and basically though you have to press the C button down, likely instantly. So as a result though, that way you can get a chance not to get caught. So yeah, you see what I mean if we go into the later parts of this entire castle. So either way, so let's go ahead and try to able to scan Clubber right here. So max HP is 8, attack power is 3, and defense power is 0. So yeah, we can able to expect how to deal with these guys. So anyway, As far as you can definitely notice right from the get-go though, when it comes to Mario Kart World, they obviously do manage to bring back not only the singular item box, but also the double item box is going to make its return ever since in, you know, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So, as a result, no wonder why about the fact that the double item system is now going to be becoming a lot more popular now, especially because it makes the item system a lot more balanced. So, because unlike in the Wii U version of Mario Kart 8, sometimes though it can be felt a bit unpredictable when it comes to like using items and all that stuff. So anyway, also something worth knowing for too is about the fact I found it's very bonkers about the fact that not only does the cow is going to make its playable debut in a Mario Kart game, but also any other creatures from Mario Universe is also going to be making its playable debut. Like, for example, remember how back in Journey Forms have been Super Mario Party, as well as Super Mario Party Jamboree recently? You already realized about the fact that Goomba was actually a playable character in those two games in particular when it comes to Mario Party games, and also same applies with the forms of, well, presumably speaking though, when it comes to the Mario Baseball games, well, it may look like that the Goomba is going to be playable in a Mario Kart game for the first time. So because of that though, it's pretty crazy, doesn't it? Well, in terms of the forms of the character roster so far, in terms of the forms of Mario Kart World, there's only currently 50 playable characters up to this point, so no matter what though, they're trying to add more in the future, presumably for DLC in the future. I mean, who knows? So, as a result though, we can able to expect to see 30 returning playable characters and 20 newcomers, which is insane. In terms of returning playable characters in Mario Kart World, we're still able to play as, you know, Mario, Luigi, Peach, Bowser, Yoshi, Toad, Daisy, Rosalina, Donkey Kong with a new look, and Wario, Koopa Troopa, Pauline, where she's now becoming a thing in the actual game instantly this time around, as opposed to the DLC for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So, anyway, Waluigi, Toadette, which I'm super pleased about, because, you know, Toadette, she's now onto the main spotlight in terms of any other Mario games now since in 2014. So, yeah, pretty top notch, huh? And we also got Baby Mario, Baby Luigi, Baby Peach, Baby Daisy, Baby Rosalina, which is not too surprising, concerning for the fact that it still is a very odd choice for a playable character, but hey, at least I'll take it and accept it at the same time, I guess. So, and we also got Bowser Jr., Lakitu, King Boo, and also Shy Guy, Bodo, Dry Bones, Wiggler, Hammer Bro, since in Mario Kart Tour, so that's actually pretty swell. In addition to that, Charging Chuck is now going to be a returning playable character also from Mario Kart Tour, along with Nabbit and Monty Mole. So if you're probably wondering what happened to Kamek, well, I'm afraid to tell you is about the fact that Kamek is not going to be a playable character for that installment, but that's mainly because he's now been a part of the items. So yeah, it's actually a very similar situation as the forms of Super Mario Party Jamboree, but oh well, beggars can't be choosers, I guess, because otherwise though, the roster still looks very strong, especially about the fact that in terms of new playable characters we might able to expect to see in Mario Kart World, and there's a ton of them, ranging from, as I mentioned this earlier, we have Goomba alongside with the cow, but in addition to that, out of nowhere, the Piranha Plant is going to be playable. I mean, what's next? It feels remarkably similar to the forms of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate or something like that, because usually in that game, that the Piranha Plant was playable in that game as DLC, but it seems to be more specifically that Piranha Plant is now going to be driving a car. I mean, this is going bonkers and crazy at the same time. Anyway, the Pianta, which is pretty surprising, and also we've got Spike from the likes of ever since in both Mario Party 10 and Super Mario Party Jamboree recently, so yeah, it seems pretty swell. And oh my gosh, this is gonna get much more insane than this. There's also a dolphin, Pokey, and in addition to a pair of bitty butts, oh my god, and even with Sidestepper, Cataquack, Snowman, Penguin, Fishbone, Peeper, Swoop, Stingbite, Rocky Wrench, Coin Coffer, Cheep Cheep, and Conkdor. Oh my god. This is getting really bonkers, which I understand about the fact that the main selling point in Mario Kart World is that not only you can able to explore around in this very open world kind of vibes to it, but it's also about the fact that with whopping 24 racers into one specific Grand Prix experience, we were essentially in a knockout rally, which as a result though, yeah, the knockout rally was also a new thing in a Mario Kart game, and so much to the point for the fact that I believe you have to go through 6 different segments in the actual specific rally, which it's pretty insane if you ask me. So either way, and also much like in Mario Kart Tour though, obviously we were able to come across into alternate costumes for some characters, which is pretty cool if you must say, especially because no matter what though, I bet the character roster is going to be super expansive, which gee, no wonder why, that Mario Kart World is going to be an official Nintendo Switch 2 launch title after all. So because of that though, yeah, still, I'm incredibly excited for it. So at the moment right now, that Mario does have 8 alternate costumes, ranging from touring, all-terrain, and also the cowboy one, since in the forms of not only in Super Mario Odyssey, but alongside with the forms of Mario Party 2 in the likes of Western Land. So yeah, that's actually pretty swell. And as far as Luigi is concerned, he does have 6 alternate costumes so far, and Peach also has 8 outfits. And Daisy has 3 outfits, and in addition to Rosalina does somehow has 4 alternate costumes, and also with Bowser also has 3 outfits, and Toad did somehow has 4 outfits, and Wario does have 4 outfits, while Luigi has whopping well, let's just say 5 outfits, and Toadette so far she got 2, one outfit for Bodo, and 2 costumes for both Baby Mario and Baby Luigi. And oh my god, there's so much stuff I can probably discuss upon for right now. I mean, let's face it though, it's about the fact that that game is going to be really huge. Even for a brand new Mario Kart game, I fully appreciate about that. So, and as far as I'm aware, much like the forms of how it does it on any other Mario Kart games in particular, since Mario Kart DS, or technically Mario Kart Super Circuit, they obviously do manage to bring back retro courses, of course. So because of that though, at the moment right now, we actually got quite a few new tracks that's been shown. Like for instance, we have for the Mushroom Cup, it actually shows us the actual tracks they somehow brings us. Like for instance, we have Mario Bros. Circuit, Crown City, Whistle Stop Summit, and DK Spaceport. And also we've got, oh, this is going to be different. Unlike the forms of how it does it in any other Mario Kart games, like since Mario Kart DS all the way up to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, that basically though, some retro courses are always going to be located in the Shell Cup, Banana Cup, Leaf Cup, and Lightning Cup. It may look like the retro tracks are now going to be onto its own different set of the amount of those specific cups. Like for example, on the Flower Cup, I believe that particular cup is going to be most likely focuses on retro courses in that particular game. So as a result though, for Flower Cup, we're able to actually have 4 retro tracks to be returning, like Desert Hills from Mario Kart DS, and Shy Guy Bazaar from the likes of Mario Kart 7, and also we have Wario Stadium from Mario Kart 64, and also we have Airship Fortress from Mario Kart DS, which I'm super happy about the fact that that track is now making its HD treatment now, especially because no matter what though, despite the fact that the actual specific Grand Prix system is now going to be connected. So, and meanwhile for the Star Cup, we also got DK Pass from Mario Kart DS, and we also got Skyview Peak and Sky High Sunday for both Mario Kart Tour and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe at the same time. So yeah, that's actually quite interesting to bring that back. And in addition to that, Wario Shipyard from the likes of Mario Kart 7. And finally, at the moment right now, for Shell Cup, we have Koopa Troopa Beach from the likes of Super Mario Kart. And we also have Faraway Oasis, Crown City for some reason, and Peach Stadium. And as far as the other tracks, we don't usually know about at this point, but we actually got even more tracks is going to be coming, which appears to be Peach Beach and Dino Jungle, and if I can recall correctly, there's going to be well, let's say, Toad's factory somewhere? Because I do definitely know about the fact that the music in the background is going to be confirmed that Toad's factory will make it on here. In addition to that, Choco Mountain, for I've heard, and Moo Moo Meadows, which I'm very surprised about the fact that that track will make its return for the second time in a Mario Kart game. So yeah, I'm genuinely surprised about that. So yeah, I'm afraid to tell you I don't think I can probably discuss more details about this particular stuff right now, but trust me what I'm saying, this is about the fact that for later parts of Paper Mario, there's going to be a lot of conversations about Nintendo Switch 2 related, so because of that though, I'm just so excited still, despite the fact that the price tag is so ridiculous still. So with that being said, folks, it's that we got the ending of this point right here, I'm afraid. So, yeah, join me next time for more of Let's Play of Paper Mario for the Nintendo 64. It's that we're about to be still exploring video forms of Tubba Blubba's castle to, move on to the right side of the castle and able to explore some more rooms, battle more enemies, and etc, basically. So I'll see you guys until tomorrow. Later, fellas.